Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another one in my series, Breaking Down Barriers. Breaking Down Barriers, which is inspired by my book called Breaking Down Barriers, My Journey from a Small African Village to the World Stage. Now, the topic we're going to talk about today is, and it's the chapter 4. It's called, or entitled, Have a Sense of Urgency. Have a sense of urgency. Now, we live in a world where I believe that this sense of urgency, this sense of action, this sense of doing something is diminishing. I think part of it is because there is so much information around, but I think there's also a lethargy. There's kind of an attitudinal change. When I see teams that I have led over the years, and I've seen over time that people's ability to engage in and resolve something in a short space of time or a reasonable space of time is diminishing for different reasons. Family, friends, stuff in life that's happening. I get that. But here is what Les Brown, the great American motivational speaker, says. I love quotes, and I have quotes in each of the chapters. And here he says, we have to live life with a sense of urgency, so not a minute is wasted. We have to live life with a sense of urgency, so not a minute is wasted. Now, what does that mean? Inevitably, you might say, well, the idea of urgency is too much for me. So let's break it down. Let's assume that you are looking for a job, as many people are, unfortunately. And an opportunity, many things are now through platforms as opposed to what we used to do back in the day where you write an email or a letter and you send your CV and so on. What if you said, well, that's interesting. Let me see what the other platforms are showing. You have all these platforms and all these job offers or job opportunities, or depending on which platform or which group you've subscribed to. And you're thinking, well, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, that looks fine, but the salary is not what I expected. That looks fine, but yeah, I don't know, maybe. And you just go through this process of stuff that gets in your head, and you're forgetting the key thing. And that key thing is you want a job, or maybe you need a job. So don't waste time trying to think through the whole process. If you see something that is suitable for you or appropriate, you've got to go for it, because you'll be there with a multitude of other people who are looking for a job. So that's maybe a simple example. And I say that because I've seen my children have to go through that. And that's something that I've specifically walked through with them, is get in there first, even if it's not the job that you want or the job that you like or the job that's going to get you to wherever you want to be, but start somewhere. What about another situation where you're more, already established in business or in a job, and a prospective client contacts you and wants you to do a report or a summary or something, or pitch for something, as we say in the industry. So you put in a bid. You start, but you just can't get going. You have other things that you want to do, but you have a deadline that you need to meet. What are the steps that you're going to put in place to hit that? Because if you don't have this attitude of there is an urgency to get this done, I need to focus only on that, then other things are going to get in the way, and you may lose this potential client or this opportunity. So those are two just very simple examples in our day-to-day life. But then there are others. There are others where along the way we come up against situations where if you act on something now that is not great, something that's happening and you know it's going to get worse, if you deal with it now, it prevents it from becoming a bigger issue. So again, let's take the example of a client. You have something that is a problem in terms of what that project looks like, but you're not putting the attention in to deal with it. And it becomes even more dramatic. It becomes worse. It becomes a bigger problem. On the one hand, you have an issue with the client, and then you have an issue perhaps with your own company, with your boss, where that problem has become so big that the two bosses have to deal with it. And I've had that in my teams as well, where something has not been brought to me early enough, and my boss has then had to get involved with the boss of the other company that we are dealing with, the project that we're working on. Because I wasn't made aware of it, I could have helped or we could have addressed it, but it just dragged on. Sense of urgency is so important in everything that we do. It shows efficacy. It shows the ability to get results. It shows that you're on top of the game all the time. It actually helps flex your muscles, because the more that you work with things and get them done in a timely manner, the better you are seen externally, because people go, I like to give him or her that job because I know it gets done, and I know it gets done well, and I know it gets done on time. So not everybody has this notion of sense of urgency. A lot of people just work at their own pace. What about another aspect? People who, and I have this in business all the time, they say, oh, okay, I'll get that to you by XYZ date or time. And that may be 2 days, 4 days, maybe a week. Say, I'll get it back to you next Monday. And you go, great. But in the end, Monday comes, which might be a week later, so a reasonable period of time, and that response or that information doesn't come back to you. That is the same thing. That's the same sense of urgency. Okay, it's not an hour, it's not a day, but it's just that person does not see what you see in delivering the information in that period of time. And that can lead to frustration. That can lead to maybe a lack of respect culturally. There are some cultures for whom that is so important. My word is my bond. I say I'll give it to you on that day or that time or in that manner, and it doesn't come through. You lose their respect. And that's not something you want in life, let alone in business. So a sense of urgency is really important to not only get, it's a mindset issue. It's really the way in which you train your mind to act on things. So I'm going to share with you what I have used over a long period of time. I use it less today because a lot of it is A, now in my head, and B, I'm very structured in the way that I do things. But I've shared it with my teams, the teams that I've led in the past. Some have said it's been really, really helpful, so I'll share it with you. It's taking the top 6 most important things that you need to do, and you break them down, and you can do, I would have an Excel spreadsheet, and I would have them, the top 6 things, which are the priorities basically, or the top 6 things to do today, the top 6 things this week, the top 6 things this month, this quarter, or this year, whatever your cycle is. So essentially you write those down, starting off, and this is really important, with the most difficult topic, project, whatever it is that you need to do. That is number 1, which could be a difficult phone call you need to make. It could be a large project that you have to start preparing. You're not going to finish it today. That could be one of those that needs to get done in the week or in the month, but you've got to start it today. Or it could be you're doing an editorial for a magazine or for the newspaper or television, all of which I've done over the years. And they've given you a deadline. And that deadline is, often it's a week. In some cases it's not, TV is much faster. But if they ask you to write something for a magazine or a trade magazine or something like that, then you've got, I'll say a week. Give me a week and you get, but that's got to be started, because if you leave it, your energy is going to diminish, and you want to be your most creative, your most open, you're most desiring to make it happen. So that is the kind of thing which you would have on that top 6 items of the day. And you start off with the one which is going to be the most complex, the most difficult, the most time consuming, the most energy involving, the most brain worthy. And start with that. And then you work down. And the idea is to get them done. So start with 1, go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The reason is because if you do it the other way around and you have 6, which is easier than 1, you will start with 6. You'll have a lot of fun, you could have coffee, you go for a walk and do this and do that, but you won't be by getting it done. Then by the time you get to number 6, which is maybe the one that should be number 1, you're physically, mentally, emotionally drained, or you're tired, it's the end of the day, you go, oh, do I really have to do this? And then you put it off until the following day maybe. So always make sure you start off with the most difficult one. So that's just a little tip for you to use, take away, top 6 items to do in a day, a week, a month, a quarter, a year, and obviously you keep revising this. So tomorrow you would be doing, if you haven't finished your list, you'd be doing the next one, but it just goes on. So you get the idea. Some people need that structure to be able to develop that sense of urgency, that sense of doing, that sense of getting things done. So sense of urgency, as Les Brown says, you don't want to waste a single minute, because minutes are so precious. They're built up of seconds, which are so precious, and those minutes turn into hours. And you get to the end of the day, whether you're working an 8-hour day or working a 16-hour day, and you think, I haven't achieved as much as I should have or as I wanted. So don't put yourself in that position. Change your perspective, change the way in which you see things, and be more decisive, be more focused, be more desiring of getting something done. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll feel, the more relaxed actually, and the more you'll look at it and go, I'm enjoying this, I can do it. There is nothing better, if we go back to the 6 on the list or whatever, when you get to the 6th one, but you can even reward yourself for getting the first one done. Once the first one's been done, tick the box and say, this is great. Well done. You've achieved what you set out to do. So important. So once again, I encourage you to reflect upon this. It's really, really important. Don't let it slide. Don't let it slide. Interpret what sense of urgency means for you. And maybe we can do that by turning to the critical thinking questions, which is something I have in the books, where it says, so I have a question for you. Are you scared of making decisions and doing so rapidly? Are you scared of making decisions and doing so rapidly? So what if you learned this skill and discovered how incredible a feeling you get after making a decision? So that decision to create that sense of urgency, something you get done in a period of time which allows you to go, that was tough, I climbed the mountain, but I feel really good. Because that's what you want. At the end of the day, you want to congratulate yourself for a job well done, success made. And so I invite you to consider that, integrate it into your own life, see how that can be improved upon. Or if you're already doing it, then great. How can you make it even better? How can you fit even more into your day by making those decisions and creating that sense of urgency much faster, that you waste even less time? So until the next time, I wish you all the very best, and I look forward to catching up with you very, very soon. Thank you.